Greetings, sirs and madams. I'm Seraphic Zero, and today we're going to talk about Lance for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now, each of the weapons have been given a teaser trailer for some of the new moves they have added for the new expansion, and there's a bit of footage here and there that I've gathered, and we're going to talk about that today. So, just keep in mind that this is coming from the perspective of somebody who is a bit of a Lance speedrunner. I'm not a very good one, mind you, but that's just where I'm coming from. So to begin with, we're going to start with some footage that's probably hasn't been widely seen by a lot of you. So this is just some raw footage of a Lance player fighting a Shrieking Legiana, which is a new subspecies. And just keep in mind that this person is intentionally not doing a very good job to sort of play up how threatening of a monster this new subspecies is. So as the first thing you'll notice here is that this is Master Rank Rathalos armor. It pretty much looks like Rathalos X from the old games. So, not surprising to me. It looks great, basically exactly the same as Rathalos X, just HD textures, all that type of crap. And this appears to be some sort of Master Rank Lance. I don't recognize it because it doesn't really look like any particular monster, but from what I'm guessing, I think it is probably some sort of Master Rank Bone Lance due to the texture. I think it looks pretty awesome. So it's just, it's got the bone texture, but really neat designs on the shield, and it's basically a halberd on the end of the lance. That's pretty damn awesome. From what we can see of this footage right here, it looks like the Lance moveset is exactly the same. So the player here seems to be trying to power guard the attacks. They don't seem to be doing very well because they have very bad timing. And it looks like essentially the blocking mechanics look about the same. Okay, so moving forward into the footage for the Lance trailer. So we see here a hunter who's wearing high rank Basilgeuse gear, and they're using, it looks like a master rank Dodogama lance, which looks really, really cool. Okay, so first thing to note is that, every weapon has received the ability to use Slinger while they have their weapon drawn, and for most weapons, this isn't really that big of a deal, but for Lance, since it has such a long sheath animation, this is going to be extremely advantageous, especially for hunts like Behemoth and Leshen. I've had tons of teams that wiped because, as a Lancer, I'm just, holding my own and, making sure that I don't die. But when the monster does an area of effect attack that's going to wipe the team, it's going to be fairly rare that a lance will be able to sheath in time to counter that attack. But now the lance can definitely do that. So I think I might wait until the Iceborne expansion to do any more Leshen hunting. And it should help with Kube too. So you can counterattack her lava barfs and that type of stuff. So that should be pretty useful. Okay, and it looks like here we have a new guard stance. So it seems to be fairly similar to the artillery stance that Heavy Bowgun used to have. So essentially you can hold up your shield and fire a slinger from behind it. Personally, I don't think this looks very useful for a Lance player, especially because you have so many other types of guard already. So, you have regular guard, you have guard counters, you have guard advances, you have power guard, and probably a few other types of guard I can't remember right now. So yeah, that's like a total of 5 different types of guards in Iceborne. That's a little much, but so anyway, so in this stance you can fire your slinger. So I think the only situation where it might be useful is if you're blocking a ranged projectile attack like a Rathalos fireball, so that you can block the hit and then immediately get a counter attack that's maybe maybe you're a little outside of range for your lance to hit, so you can use the slinger instead. And then it also looks like you can do a leaping thrust out of this guard stance. So that makes a lot of sense, because you're going to need to cover more distance from being that far away. But As it stands, I don't think this will be all that useful, because usually a lance will be right on top of the monster, and you won't have a need to be that far away. Okay, and right here we see the Clutch Claw attack for Lance, and if you've watched the other weapon trailers, the Clutch Claw attacks for them are like these really overblown dramatic animations that take a long time. And while they look really cool, they may not be practical, because they take so much time, and, either the monster could shake you off, or, your team could get impatient. I'm already seeing people saying they're going to flash bomb people who try to use the claw. That's not good. It won't be such a problem because I solo, but yeah. So if you look at the Lance animation here, it's very, very fast, just a quick in and out. Like I really like the animation of the Lance being pulled out so dramatically. That part looks really awesome. But yeah, Lance's Clutch Claw attack is super fast. I really appreciate that about it, because you're just there to take care of business. And of course, the Lance's Clutch Claw attack has the effect of Tenderizer, causing the area hit with the attack to take more damage, essentially. So this is going to be extremely useful for Lance, because Lances are very good at targeting weak zones. So I think this will especially help for monsters that just don't have very good weak zones, like Lavasiath and what's her name, Lunastra. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of that when I can. I also hear that the Lance has some sort of stun resistance when it does its Clutch Claw attack. We don't see that demonstrated very well in footage, so we're gonna have to wait to maybe get our hands on a demo or something to see what that really means. Okay, and here's a new thing. So this is a counter stance with the Clutch Claw, and so we're gonna call this Counter Claw, I guess. So, all right, so that is a 6th form of guard for Lance now. Wow, that is a ton. Anyway, so from the other footage of the other weapons, it seems that you can only use Clutch Claw when the monster is exhausted. I'm not sure how that's going to work with Elder Dragons, because, the only one that gets exhausted is Nergigante, and I think Xeno'jiiva also. But, yeah, it looks like with Lance, you can actually use Clutch Claw at any time because of this, Counter Claw stance. So that's going to be very interesting. This is probably where the stun resistance for Lance Clutch Claw is going to come in handy, because, obviously if the monster isn't exhausted, it's going to be able to maybe damage you or knock you off. So if we continue this footage here, we see that, yeah, when you use Clutch Claw, you don't always have to attack with your Lance. It looks like the player here is using the burst attack from their Slinger. So, or the Strong Shot, I think that's what they're calling it. I'm not too keen on what the Strong Shot does exactly. I don't know what type of damage it does, but it seems to at least produce some sort of KO or stun effect. So that could come in handy. Here we have some story footage. You see it's pretty much overlapped from what we saw earlier. And here they're using the Counter Claw on Legiana's tail. Yeah, so my overall thoughts are that, yeah, Lance looks good. It was already pretty much set in Monster Hunter World. It didn't really have any weaknesses. Although, compared to the other weapons, it didn't have amazing damage output. So I think the one thing that Lance really needs is some sort of burst damage option, like some sort of super move or something you can pull out once in a while to just do a lot of damage when the monster is incapacitated in some way. So I think what I was really looking forward to was some sort of new attack for the Lance, but essentially what we see here is new attacks for the Slinger or the Clutch Claw, and technically none for the Lance. Just different ways to use the Slinger while you're lancing. But generally, this is overall a buff for Lance. It makes up for one of its greatest weaknesses, which is its slow sheath speed. So, yeah, I am mildly pleased with how they handled this, but hopefully there will be more to see soon. I think there should be I think there should be more footage for Iceborne at E3, and I believe there should be a demo available during E3 and hopefully available to the wider public afterwards. Anyway guys, if you have any thoughts, just leave a comment below, and yeah, I guess that'll be it for now. We'll see you next time.